Alabama and Michigan are set to play tomorrow. So the Sunday rollback is everything leading up this week from out in Pasadena to this college football playoff game that kicks off tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central Time out at the Rose Bowl. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Let's get ready to rock and roll, everybody. Roll Tide. Let's get this party started. And a hearty, what do you say to wherever you might be watching today? And even if you're a Michigan fan, welcome here to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. I'm Mick Gillispie. That's Brett Elmore. And you can follow him, Brett Elmore Show, on the socials. I'm at Broadcaster Mick. And we're going to talk Alabama and Michigan like we do every Sunday. We're going to talk Alabama football here on the show. But got a lot to get into today, Brett. First off, the press conferences, some of the things that were talked about there, the sign stealing. We might talk a little bit about recruiting. We're going to talk about this matchup and even some other bowl games that took place between the Big Ten and the SEC. This is the champions of both conference, and it's the first of 2 college football playoff games that will kick off on New Year's Day. So this is New Year's Eve. It's the last day of 2023. What's up?
Roll Tide, Mick. We are less than 24 hours away from kickoff of the granddaddy of them all. And as they say, the hay's almost just got about in the barn, you know. The guys at the press conference today, both coaches saying, you know, today's a cleanup day, you know, going to polish things up, get ready for tomorrow. And it's been a busy week for everyone, and you know, the team, the media, everybody, the frenzy out in Pasadena. I'm ready for toe to meet leather, though.
Yeah, well, let's start with the sign stealing stuff, because I thought this was significant. Anytime you don't use your electronic media because you're afraid that someone else is tapping into it to see what your plays are, there's an issue. Whether it happened in the past or it didn't happen, there's a reason why Alabama players aren't allowed to use those iPads to watch film. Let's watch J.C. Latham, who's on the Alabama offensive line, what he had to say in the press conference earlier this week, and then we'll kind of chew on it together.
You've been a little bit different when it comes to Michigan. Isaiah told us that you guys aren't allowed to take the tablets home.
Yeah, I mean, not really. If anything, I feel like it's been better. You got to be really locked in and intricate about the details of how you watch film. If this was, you know, during the season or whatever case may be, as soon as I get in the car, I can watch some film, or as soon as I get at the breakfast table, I can watch it. When I'm at home, I can watch it, but obviously we can't. So when you get the chance to, you know, sit down in the meeting room and turn on the film and turn on the tape, you're really paying attention to every little detail 10 times more, because you know you can't do it later. So I don't want to say it's a do or die situation, but that's how dire the situation is. So we take it a lot serious.
Is that like the guard against Michigan from acquiring that film?
Just being more intricate and being more precautious with our work to understand that we just don't want to take any chances. So
that's something you guys are worried about? You're sign stealing?
Not really. I mean, we're focused on playing the game. So I mean, I don't think it really is something I'm concerned about. So.
Is it something you followed closely? It obviously came out back in October.
Yeah, I mean, someone asked me that earlier. I mean, back in October, you know, we previously just lost to Texas. I think we were dropping in the rankings, maybe potentially out of the top 10. And, yeah, we were focused on solely how can we get better, what can we do to be better. So we weren't really worried about the situation that they had going on. So.
Do you think you've been watching less film overall after this game?
Nah, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, since we started this, since we knew we were playing them and we've been watching film together, it's been hour and a half at a time that we watch film. I mean, yesterday, I think we watched film for, like, after practice, just on our own for an extra hour or two, just to really get a gauge on what we're going on. We watched a couple games as a group. We'll do that every day leading up into the game. So, I mean, like I said, if anything, it brings us all closer together because we have to do it as a group. Or, I mean, you can do it individually, but you prefer to watch it with your teammates to understand as a group, like, what's going on so you can see everything at the same time.
All right, there he is. There's Latham, and he was one of the guys that was asked about it. We had Michael Casagrande on the channel earlier this week from AL.com. He's one of the guys that broke the story. It's a big deal because the way that you prepare for each and every game is a routine, and Nick Saban's all about routines. And so to break that routine tells you that there's a reason why. Well, is it that George Hilo, who used to coach at Alabama, then went to Michigan and then came back to Alabama, tipped off Alabama that, hey, something could be going on? Was it one of the other coaches in the Big Ten who have been outspoken about the sign stealing and some other stuff going on at Michigan? Not just their arch rival, Ohio State, but a lot of the other teams have as well. And they've been pretty public about it. Or is this just precaution, you think?
I don't know. I think they were tipped off to something because you're right about Coach Saban. And he is one of those routine, every morning he wakes up and he has a little Debbie's, snack cake and he watches the wedding channel,
Right.
He only drives his Ferrari on Wednesdays if it's not raining. This guy is routine. To break that routine, obviously there was something significant there that made Coach Saban say, you know what, we're going to do something a little bit different. And doing things different is not in his norm, So there's something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll probably find out later on down the line a little bit more about this. But for now, the team is watching film together as one, and it's different for them, but they seem to be adapting well.
I've had some Michigan people in the comment section saying that the reason we're talking about this is excuses if Alabama loses. No, look, if Michigan wins the football game, they win the football game. This isn't, Ohio State here or the other teams from your conference. Alabama's won this game plenty of times. As a matter of fact, they haven't lost this game since 2014. And I'm pretty confident that they're going to go in and play good football. It's the sportsmanship part of it that I don't like. There's a set of rules that you got to follow. And honestly, in this day and age, it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of people defending Michigan and the fact that they cheated, because it just seems like that's all we do anymore is make excuses for people that don't want to follow the rules. I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. He's a great coach, really, if you want to get into it. But this isn't a great look for him. It's not great for college football. I think he could have won without all of this stuff. But the fact that Alabama did this tells me something. And you're right. I think down the road, we'll eventually find out what that means. But what's crazy is, Brett, and I want you to see this, is that someone asked Nick Saban this today, right? What's really funny about this is that Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh are together in the same press conference. This is really funny. I want to remind you too, guys, that our show is brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Choctaw, Mississippi, Philadelphia. Great time for the Timeout Sports Lounge, and it is not cheating to go over there and wager on college, NFL, NBA, soccer, whatever you're into. They have it about an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours from Birmingham, pretty close to anywhere in the Yellowhammer State. All right, let's throw this on the stage, Brett, and you tell me how this makes you feel.
As a coach.
All right, we'll have our last question here coming from the back right.
Nick here in the back, Joe Goodman, AL.com. Are you concerned with the sign stealing stuff out of Michigan, and what has Alabama done to maybe prevent some of that?
No, we're really not concerned about that. Integrity in the game, I think, is really, really important. And, our team has had every opportunity to prepare for this game, just like they have every other game. And, I think that especially when you're, a no-huddle team, you got to adapt and adjust how you communicate with the quarterback. And hopefully one day we'll get to the NFL system where you can just talk to the guy in his helmet. I think that would be a lot better. But for now, we just have to adapt to how we communicate with the quarterback, and we'll change it up and try to not put our players at a disadvantage in any way.
All right, with that, we will go ahead and have the coaches stand up and do the photo opportunity with the trophy.
Brett, I'm just going to play this for you.
Look how awkward. Look how awkward everyone is right now.
Great question right before the trophy picture.
Good job, AL.com. Man, I love you. Look at Saban. He's kind of looking to the side. They won't make eye contact. Harbaugh is looking around. He will not smile. He's looking around. Saban with just a stone-faced smile. It's perfect.
He said, I'm just going to pull it back up there one more time because it is so funny. He said that integrity is a big part of the game. And, that's for him, that's probably about as much as you're going to get from him. But, they both look so awkward. It really is. It really is funny.
I laughed at this so hard earlier during the press conference because I thought the final question, because now these guys have got to get up, stand next to the trophy, and they're just both kind of like, just get me out of here, please.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I like the Jim's a tall guy. He's a former quarterback.
Yeah.
And then there's Nick, which
he's one of only 12 people. I didn't realize this till I listened to the press conference. One of only 12 people that have played and coached in the Rose Bowl.
Really? Hey, look, Jim Harbaugh was a great quarterback back in his days, man. And I'm guessing that his next stop's going to be maybe his former NFL team, the Bears. But I'm not sure. But the reports are that he just hired a new agent. That agent is big in the NFL. I think that if Jim Harbaugh loses or wins or whatever, I just think that if he loses, this is his last college game, at least for now. And if he wins and then goes on to the next game, that'll be his last game. But I think he's tired of it. I just think that the dealing with all of the stuff outside of just coaching the game of football is wearing on him. And this is one of the best coaches. I mean, you talk about it. The guy got to the Super Bowl in the NFL. He had a really good 49ers team. He was really good at Stanford. He's in the college football playoff for the third straight year. So, he's done his thing. And then Nick Saban's the best college coach ever. 7 national championships, first guy to ever win one in 2 different programs. And, he's just constantly at the top of the pack, but the sign stealing stuff, I know Nick Saban didn't like. He didn't like it when Jim was bringing those satellite camps down to Alabama. You could tell when they faced off in Orlando 2020, Nick Saban punched one in late. I think it was Brian Robinson, B-Rob. But, I mean, he doesn't do that a lot. Nor he could have took a knee and instead he went in. There's definitely no love lost here between these two guys.
No, you're talking about him going back to the pros. NFL, Fox NFL insider Jay Glazer shared last month that the NFL doesn't even care. They're not bothered about sign stealing stuff. But you're right. He's according to Adam Schefter and Pete Thamel. He's hired Don Yee, who represents Tom Brady and Sean Payton, and he's probably one of the biggest names in the NFL as far as agents are concerned. And remember, he has that 10-year deal still on the table from Michigan, $125 million deal, and there's been no action on that. You think if he was going to stay, he would have already signed that deal.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's crazy. So this is interesting. I mean, it just makes this game kind of a little bit more juice. The FBI, I guess, was involved, or at least they were investigating could the system that the teams use to upload their film have been compromised, but nothing was found there. So basically speculation, I guess, for the most part on that. But you have to talk about it because it is a big deal. The fact that the guy was suspended for 3 games because of this, the NCAA hasn't even weighed in. That was a self-induced or, league-wide suspension. And give Michigan credit. They've rock and rolled, with him or without him,
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've rolled through an undefeated season. So, we'll see. Like I say, yeah, we have to talk about it because I guess it's been the biggest story to come out of this week, really.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll talk about that. I do want to tell you guys this. You have one more day to use this code right here. So if you want the new Gravedigger print, it expires tomorrow. Gravedigger 25 gets you $25 off 4th and 31 at newlifeart.com. So that's the pick of Jalen Milroe's touchdown pass with 4th down and goal from the 31-yard line against Alabama's arch rival, the Auburn Tigers, who, by the way, were smoked yesterday. And we're going to talk about that because we're going to get into some Big Ten versus SEC matchups. Embarrassed in that game, but against Alabama, they have superpowers and they almost won. But Jalen Milroe stabbed them right in the heart and killed them, at least in that game. They recovered to play Maryland and then get their asses absolutely ripped apart. All right, Brett, let's go back to the press conferences. And I thought this was one of the most interesting things that we saw all week long. And we were just talking about Milroe, who at the beginning of the season was fighting for his job with the transfer from Notre Dame, Tyler Buckner. Yeah. And then Ty Simpson, who I thought Ty Simpson was eventually going to win the job. And I was wrong. This guy persevered. I heard that he was a student of studying film and working out and very focused. He earned a lot of respect from his teammates before the season even started because of his focus on doing the things that he needed to do to be ready. But it wasn't an easy transition. And, last year, I remember thinking, I wish we could figure out a way to get this guy on the football field. So during the press conference, when he was up, someone asked him about, has anyone ever asked you to change positions? And this is what he had to say. Well, this.
Was there a moment where someone wanted you to play a different position? Or something that you kind of said no?
Shoot, all my life, even when I was in college. Shoot, my own offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, told me I shouldn't play quarterback. So, there's a lot of things I can, have motivation on, and that's something I have motivation from.
There was this viral video that kind of went around of Michigan's watch party, kind of moaning and groaning at the time that they were playing you in Florida State. Is that the ultimate sign of respect? And ultimately, what was your reaction to what they did?
I didn't see a video, but I understand why. I understand the reaction because it's a hard task playing Alabama. And with the head coach that we have here, Coach Saban, he's going to put us in situations to be successful in the game. So I can understand their reaction.
Jalen, apologies if you're asked already, but some of your teammates talked about how it's a change how you watch film with Michigan sightseeing scandal and how you can't take film home. How has that affected you?
No, it ain't really affected me. I'm gonna find a way to work. You know what I'm saying? So, I've still been watching tape. I'm still trying to prepare the right way, prepare for this game as much as possible. Because that is something that's what allows us to be successful with the right preparation. So I've been still preparing the right way. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm still watching tape.
All right, so there you go. He talks about it a little bit. Someone they asked him, Tony Sukalis asked him later on. I thought it was right there, but it wasn't. How it made him feel, and he said, "Well, how would it make you feel if somebody told you that you sucked?" But the biggest thing, Brett, is that he came out and basically said, Bill O'Brien, who was last year's offensive coordinator. And someone that I was critical of, not because he isn't a good coach, but because he wasn't creative enough with that offense. And I thought there was a way to get this guy on the field last year and use that speed other than when Bryce Young was injured. And he said he wanted him to switch and play another position. And I could tell by the look in his eyes that he wasn't real happy about that.
No, I don't think that sit very well with him. And yeah, how would you feel if someone said, you suck at this,
Well, they have. Read the comments.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Me too. And it's like, well, you suck at this. Maybe you should go, sell hot dogs or something. But he proved them all wrong. He proved all the doubters wrong. And look where he is now. I mean, he has progressed to be a solid player, one of the nation's best, to finish 6th in the Heisman, and could possibly be a favorite next year as we open up the season to win the Heisman. I mean, the guy, that's the key for Michigan. In the press conference today, Coach Harbaugh said, he was asked about Milroe. He was like, this guy can run. He can pass. He's very elusive. He said it's going to take all 11 guys to really, try to stop this guy and stop the Alabama offense. So, I'm happy for him. I mean, because we were all, I was one of them. We were all really critical of Milroe at the beginning of the season. And most Bama fans, if you say you weren't critical of him at the beginning, probably fooling yourself. I'm happy for the kid that he has. He's where he is today.
You know what? I don't know that I was critical of the way that he really couldn't, he just stood in the pocket. He looked dazed and confused against Texas. But I didn't know that there was a better option. I just didn't know, I'd heard that Buckner looked good in practice, and obviously he came in and it just wasn't there. And then Ty Simpson looked like the Ty Simpson that I've heard. And, if he sticks around, he's just got to keep on getting better and quicker at decision making, right? I heard a lot of things that were really good about Dylan Laudergan, and then Julian Sand. We saw him in practice film, getting out there and actually playing in some games, or at least in practice and helping out, which has been pretty cool, So, to me, I guess it's not really. I didn't think that he wasn't going to be able to play. I just wasn't sure if. It was just so hard to figure out what we were looking at with him. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think so. And I thought Buckner may have been the guy too. Really. And I heard a really good interview with him yesterday during the media days. He's had his ups and downs in his college football career. But I also read a story yesterday about, and we haven't really talked about this, I don't think. We've talked about the other side of it, but they say that during practice that he has emulated J.J. McCarthy very well for, as in the practice squad.
Right. And I think that's important too. I mean, if you're going out, you might as well go out, doing your thing, and really helping the team, giving them a good look, And I think it's really cool. I hope that he goes on to have a great lacrosse career. I played on the lacrosse team at Alabama. It was a club team, but it was a lot of fun, lacrosse is a sport that's physical, and it's not like college football. You're not going to have 100,000 people at your game, but it's still really cool that he's good enough athlete, Buckner, to go out there and play quarterback at Notre Dame and then come back and play on the lacrosse team. And that's a Division I lacrosse team, unlike Alabama. So a lot of really cool things going on there. And the fact that he's sticking around really shows the dedication that he has to the program. And that kind of brings me over to something that we're going to talk about some of the bowl games with the SEC matched up against the Big Ten. But what an embarrassment last night for Florida State. And not the fact that they got absolutely drummed 63-3, but the fact that the players could give two craps about the program. You got your starting quarterback transferring out. You got, it was like a list of guys that looked like the Santa Claus Christmas scroll that for one reason or the other either opted out or transferred out. Some guys even hanging out on the sideline. I saw a tweet from our friend Mike Johnson that basically said, I don't know how I'd handle that if, our guys are opted out and they're on the sidelines in sweatpants as I'm out here getting beaten up 63-3, It really tells you what those players thought about Florida State, Mike Norvell, the program, college football in general, and then where they put themselves. And part of it could be, hey, we're a little upset that we didn't make the college football playoff. But I'll tell you what, if they would have won the game 63-3, somebody would have voted them national champs.
Yeah, it's a shame because something's got to be done about that. That, the Orange Bowl, one of the biggest bowl games, of the bowl season, and it's like it's not important anymore. It's like the bowl games are so watered down now, and it's I feel bad for the fans. They paid good money to still support the team, come and watch the games, travel, hotels, tickets, the whole 9 yards. You know how expensive it is.
No.
And then you show up, and you get your brains beat out by 60 points. Yeah, and you're right. Half the, it's like a third of the team standing around their sweatpants. The fans should get their money back.
Yes.
That is, it's ridiculous. I was watching there in the fourth quarter. The stadium there was nobody there but Georgia fans. It was just a shell. Not good for college football. Not good at all. And don't say that Georgia was running up to score. If you can't stop their 2s and 3s, then you have some issues too.
Well, look, Will Muschamp's kid got in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't he like the 4th string quarterback?
I mean, it's like, still, these are some pretty good athletes, for Florida State. I mean, sure, they're the backups, a lot of them are, but still, gee whiz.
Well, how about not even caring enough to show up and represent your university?
Well, they didn't show up, period. We thought they wouldn't show up. Actually, it physically show up to the game. They didn't show up, period. They should have just went back on the bus at halftime. But, yeah, I mean, if you're so worried about and making such a big deal out of not making the Final Four, why not say, you know what, guys, let's band together. Let's show them by beating Georgia what we're all about. That way we can prove a point. Instead, they went the other direction and said, you know what? We're not playing for a national championship, so everything goes for naught. This whole season's a bust, so we're just go to the house.
Well, the bowl system's done.
Yeah, it is.
It is. The players have it started with Christian McCaffrey, who was the first guy to opt out of a big bowl game, and then the rest of them have followed. And it's always, monkey see, monkey do with these college kids. I'm going to see what this guy does. And McCaffrey's the guy that led all of this stuff. And it really is a shame to me because these bowl games used to mean something. They used to mean a lot. You got a chance to play in the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl or even some of the lower bowls. I mean, I remember when Alabama wasn't any good and we would all go to, Shreveport, Louisiana to watch a bowl game. And it was just cool to be in there against teams like Colorado and Oklahoma State and Iowa State, and now the players, it seems like all they're worried about is how much money they can make, and they want to get paid a lot and not play much, and to me that's a problem. I mean, I get the system wasn't fair to the players in the past, and I'd be kind of irritated too if I'm funding with my blood, sweat, and tears a women's basketball team like Alabama has that can't get 500 people to show up. The coach hides from playing any competition so that they have a decent record at the end of the year and she doesn't get fired. It's almost like she just stands still so that no one pays attention to the fact that the program sucks, so that she doesn't get canned, and it's all funded by football. And then you can't even get a couple extra T-shirts if you're on the team, right? They don't even want to give you a pair of shoes if you're on the team, because they used to be so cheap and stingy, right? Now you got to pay these guys, and I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with the lack of appreciation for what they get and the sportsmanship part of it, and the fact that they're letting their program down. Florida State looks like they look like stooges, and they didn't deserve this. It's a shame that they didn't make the playoff, but they weren't one of the 4 best teams. They proved that. They would have lost even had they brought their whole roster. But the fact that they decided not to show up at all and get canned like that, they probably should have just all opted out and not played it, because what I saw in that game was honestly sad.
Yeah, and they were lucky to score the 3 that they put up. Yeah, it was a disaster, a snooze fest. It was a terrible way to end a really good day of bowl games. I thought, we had some pretty good bowl games yesterday, and but it is what it is. I still think Georgia probably deserved to be in the top 4 more than Florida State did. I think they were deserving to be in the top 4. I think they're one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Well, look, Georgia ran into the same situation. They got left out, and we all felt like they were the team that should have been the most upset that they didn't get a chance to go, because they had won back-to-back championships and 29 games, and they lost to Alabama by 3. It's not like they got blown out. And we all looked at Florida State and felt like, Florida State is – they've played a really weak schedule, and they know that. Look, they're trying to get out of that bad the ACC, and I'd love to have them in the SEC. And I have a lot of respect for Florida State, their brand. Obviously, last night was one of the biggest embarrassments of their program, and it's because the players decided that it wasn't important to them. But Alabama and Georgia both ran into the same situation. Last year, it was Alabama, Brett. They went to the Sugar Bowl. They had, you talk about picks, you think, where do you think Florida State's first 2 picks in this upcoming draft are going to end up? Are they going to end up first and third like last year with Bryce Young and Will Anderson Jr.? No, but they still opted out and walked away, and then sat there, and some of them on the sideline in sweatpants cheering as their team got absolutely embarrassed. Last year, Alabama had the number 1 pick, the number 3 overall pick, and a bunch of other really good players that were going to the NFL. And you know who opted out? No one, because there's a different culture in Tuscaloosa, and we're lucky. But the minute that Nick Saban walks away, we're going to end up with the same exact situation that Mike Norvell's dealing with over at Florida State, and the rest of these coaches are around the country, where the players could give 2 craps whether the team plays or not, if it's not going to benefit them somehow. And, and that's the shame of it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, something, I would love to see something be done about it, but I think it's too late.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not, but I'd love to see it change, but I'm afraid it's too late. But yeah,
well, they're going to have to restructure things. I mean, it's not too late because of the fact that there's NIL money involved. Maybe you don't get paid unless you finish the season.
Right, yeah.
I ran into this in broadcasting with some internships, and I said, you have to finish the internship before I'm paying you. Because guys were opting out in the last week of the season, calling play-by-play, which is actually a great opportunity for college guys and baseball. But I saw the same thing coming, and maybe that's what they need to do on a bigger scale. All right, Brett, let's turn gears here, and let's listen to Kevin Steele. He's the Alabama defensive coordinator, and he was asked about Nick Saban, right? We've been talking about Nick Saban possibly retiring, and then Kevin Steele was asked this. I'll just play it, and you guys can listen to Kevin Steele, and don't pay attention to the fact that he sounds like the guy from Sling Blade. Just listen to him and what he's saying. You remember that movie, Sling Blade?
Yeah.
Well, here you go.
Has he evolved at all in terms of how hands-on he is with the defense?
No. Still the same as when I used to go visit him at Michigan State when he was the head coach there. Brilliant defensive mind. Brilliant. One step ahead all the time. He has the ability to see things and take away what you do best instantly, and adjust it instantly.
Coach Deontay was saying you know how to get him going from a motivational standpoint. How do you know when to pick and choose?
Who's that?
Deontay Lawson was just saying you know how to motivate him. When do you know when to pick and choose when you've got a light of fire under there?
Well, they're all different.
All right. First, he was talking about Nick Saban and, how brilliant coach is at, coming up with game plans and dissecting things. And earlier in the press conference, he said, hey, Nick Saban's the defensive coordinator here. Kevin Steele has worked with Nick Saban 3 times now, and he has done an A+ job. What a fantastic defensive coordinator he's been this year for this football team. And honestly, he's exactly what this program needed. Brett, last year on these shows, I said that we need people back that know the culture at Alabama. They went out and got Kevin Steele. I was hoping that they also figured out a way to get Jeremy Pruitt, but it's not going to be something that's possible right now because he's got show calls and he's kind of suspended, I guess, if you will.
Where is he at now?
I don't know, but he's not coaching for a while, from being at Tennessee. But he's another guy that understands the culture at Alabama. It was so good to hear Kevin Steele just kind of comfortable with the way things are at Alabama, understanding Coach Saban. He says he's his hands on as he's always been, and he said he's the best that's ever done it.
Yeah, and he's right. He's known Coach Saban a long time. They're familiar with one another, and yeah, great hire during the offseason for Coach Saban. Get a guy in there. Number one, he's old school. He's tough as nails. He knows how to run a defense, and he knows the program, and he knows Coach Saban. So it's a perfect fit instead of going out and getting some young guy that doesn't really know the system and, hasn't been around Coach Saban. Saban needed someone like this, I think, this year. And he's done an absolutely wonderful job with the defense. And I think they're going to play well tomorrow.
I do too. I mean, I think the defense will figure out a way to slow down Michigan, but it's until you get out on the football field, it's really hard to know exactly what's going to happen. But all right, let's talk about some bowl games. All right, I want to talk about the bowl games that have featured the SEC against the Big Ten this year. All right. And the first one was Friday, December 29th. Missouri was a 14-3 winner over Ohio State. To say that Ohio State had some opt-outs would probably be an understatement when their quarterback and their star receiver both left. But at the same time, I'm the fact that they lost to Missouri and they only scored 3 points, definitely a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and Coach Drink, he signed an extension today with Missouri.
Did he really?
Yeah, because we were talking about he made both, but yeah, I just saw actually before we came on the air that he got an extension today.
I don't know how they honestly. I mean, not to get too much into Missouri, but I don't know how they keep this up. I mean, I think this was kind of an offshoot year. But we'll find out. He did a good job of recruiting and finding players that, like Cody Schrader, who ended up with 29 carries, 128 yards, a touchdown. He was really I would say, to me, the story of the season in the conference. I mean, this guy coming from Truman, going to the SEC and then running over everyone. But a good game for Brady Cook. I thought Ohio State's defense tried to hold him in there as long as they could, but they didn't get any help from the Ohio State offense. And, and to think that Ohio State only scored 3 points, I don't know how much you can glean from this game, just because this wasn't the Ohio State that anyone saw this year. And they lose 14-3 to Missouri, all 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was 3-0 there at the half. And yeah, still though, I'm not going to take anything away from Missouri picked up a big win and against a very good opponent, and we'll take that win for the SEC.
All right, the other game is, and it's hard for me to discount this one at all, because I think if you guys know me, that I'm actually a Maryland fan, other than Alabama. This is one of my other teams, right? I even got a Maryland helmet in here, right over there. So when I saw Maryland and Mike Locksley, the former Alabama offensive coordinator, go in there and just pistol whip the Auburn Tigers, I loved it. I thought it was great. I know that it was a game that, we always pull for the SEC. But if there's one team that's going to show up and take a whooping like this, if it has to be someone, it's always good that it's Auburn.
Yeah, and Tua's brother didn't even play for Maryland,
Yeah, how about that?
It didn't even play, and still they whipped Auburn 31-13. And that's the only SEC loss against the Big Ten so far. And Maryland, Auburn couldn't get anything going. I mean, I watched a little bit of it, and then I had to run some errands and listen to a lot of it. Couldn't get anything going. Just did not play well. I had made the statement of maybe they stayed out a little too late at the Wild Horse Saloon, line dancing until 2 o'clock in the morning.
They were down at Tootsie's.
They went down to Tootsie's and the Wild Horse Saloon and what's some of those other dives down through there. There's a lot of great places to go through there. So I wouldn't blame them for doing that, but they had a game to play.
Yeah. Well, this is the one that I thought we could really get the most out of as far as games played between these two conferences, because I thought these were the for both the SEC and the Big 12, the Big Ten. These are the third best teams in both. Like I thought Ole Miss is better than Missouri. They lost to Alabama and they lost to Georgia. And Penn State is better than there really wasn't even a third place team in their conference. They were clearly third, below Michigan and Ohio State. And, we saw a pretty good football game, but Ole Miss able to move the football at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, and they won it 38-25. Jackson Dart and Quinshawn Judkins with good games. And, I wouldn't say an easy win, but, it was pedestrian. And I felt like of the three games, this was the one that I felt like you could really get the most out of. And that's we keep talking about this, but the SEC speed is a thing. Penn State ran the ball at times, but when it came time to throw the ball, they didn't look like they were comfortable doing that. And Ole Miss hit a lot of big plays.
Yeah, I felt like Kevin called a great game. Happy for him because, this was a big win for Ole Miss. Is this their first 11-win season in school history?
It has to be, right?
Yeah, I believe I read that. So first 11-win season in school history. That's big for Lane Kiffin and his program, and a big win, another big win for the SEC. And the SEC, we match up with the Big Ten in three more games, tomorrow. Wisconsin has LSU, Iowa has Tennessee, and, of course, Bama, Michigan.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. A big part of these games is who's motivated to play, but now it's who shows up to play. How many opt-outs do you have? How many of these guys really care about being there or don't care about being there? But I just felt like, to me, it really showed in that particular game the difference in styles. The Big Ten wants to run the football. They were pretty strong at the line of scrimmage. I'm not going to take that away from them. They did, also throw it as well. And then every time you felt like Penn State was going to do something and kind of separate themselves, then all of a sudden, Ole Miss would make a big play and that'd be the end of that. So we'll see if that translates to any information going into the Rose Bowl on tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Yeah. So it's just fun, man. This is it. I mean, like we're almost there. Yeah. Tailgate show is going to air tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock here on the channel. And then, that'll get you up until kickoff, and it'll be 2024, which is crazy to think of too, huh?
Yeah. 2024 is here. Any New Year's resolutions for Mr. Mick?
Man, I haven't even thought about it yet. I know one thing. I've got to get in shape a little bit better. So I've kind of taken the holidays to have a little bit of fun as far as my diet. Now it's time to kind of get focused again. So it'll be a lot of Yuengling Flight, the low carb, low cal Yuengling beer, and exercise. Cut back on meals.
Yeah, there you go. I haven't thought about my resolution yet, but I guess I'll have it figured out by midnight tonight.
Yeah, well, you better. Hey, guys, a couple of things I want to tell you about. If you're on Facebook, swing by. We started a new page over there, Bama Tailgate Show on Facebook. So make sure that you subscribe, tell everyone about it. Don't forget that the show was brought to you by our friends at Pearl River Resort in Choctaw, Philadelphia, Mississippi, the Timeout Sports Lounge where you can go and gamble legally. It's they've got a Vegas-style sports book in there. They also, at the Golden Moon Casino, have all the table games and slots and everything else. That if you like the golf, Golden Moon Casino, and they've got a spa. If you like the golf, it's a Dancing Rabbit golf course, but Golden Moon Casino, the spa in there, and then Ron White's coming. You're a big fan of comedy, Brett.
Yeah, Ron White's coming. They've got some great shows coming up. Ron White. They have the Wallflowers. Of course, Bob Dylan's son, Jacob, the head guy for the Wallflowers. Big hits back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So those are two great shows to go to. But you can find out more by going to their website. But yeah, Pearl River Resort, the place to go to get your gaming on.
Yeah, get your gaming on. And the last thing is today is it, man. You better hurry up and use Gravedigger 25. It's $25 off 4th and 31 at newlifeart.com. That expires on the 1st. Or Bama Tailgate, 15% off any regularly priced item or order. So check that out as well at newlifeart.com. Now is a great time to pimp out your man cave. And look at me. I'm in a pimped out man cave. Last but not least, show's always presented in part by Modern Lending with our friend Chad Anderson. He's out there right now. You talk about living the life of Riley. You know, when you own a mortgage company, you work real hard and you play real hard. So he's out in Pasadena for the football game. But if you need help with your mortgage, hey, man, this guy is going to pick up the phone and call you himself. Over 10,000 families helped. He helped us get into this studio in our house. He's also an investment consultant and an Airbnb expert at This Chat is Real or modernlending.com to find out more information. So, we're hoping that 2024, that the interest rates are better than they've been this past year. 2023, ever since 2020, it's been some rough goes of it. So I'm hoping that 2024 is the year maybe we start to get things turned in the right direction. I feel like it's just been, I don't know. I mean, it just, ever since COVID, it's just been like, can this get worse?
Weird, buddy. It has. It's been weird, but
at least we have football, Brett.
That's right. At least we have Bama football, and at least it's almost game day. So tonight, when at midnight, when you kiss your loved one, just remember also that it's officially game day.
All right, that is true, my friend. Tailgate show back over here 9 a.m. tomorrow. Obviously, you'll be able to watch it after that anyway, and then we'll also be covering the game post game live right here on the YouTube channel, taking your calls. As the second game plays, we'll be on as well on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. But thank all of you guys. Look, let me say this. If this is the last thing I'm going to say in 2023, is this. I didn't know that this was going to happen. Honestly, I didn't know that we were all going to get fired from On3. You know, I didn't know they were going to cancel their YouTube channel. I didn't know we were even going to go to On3 from Rivals. But it's just the way that it happens. It's business, you know, like that's kind of the way that life goes. And then I was kind of wondering where we were going to put the show, just the Tailgate show at football season. And I had some ideas. And then when it all kind of came down to the end, it was like, hey, you know what? We're just going to have to do it ourselves. And the experience has been great. The support has been overwhelming. You know, every time I turn around and we're hitting another milestone with our subscribers, it means a lot to me. It's been so much fun. You know, and the whole point of this channel was to cover Alabama, you know, try to be informative, try to be professional, but also try to have a good time. Try to be honest too, you know, and I think we've done that. And it's been just great hanging out with you, Brett, and Chad, and, you know, when he's been on, and all of our like Ryan Anderson and Jake Coker when they've been here, and all the Tailgate show guests and stuff. But I'm just really happy about that. It's honestly one of the best things that I've been a part of this entire year. So I'm hoping for 2024, we just continue to try to kick ass, go out there and bring you guys more coverage, have some more fun, figure out new ways to interact with all of you guys and roll tide, man. And we got a football game tomorrow against one of the legendary brands in college football, win, lose, or draw. We'll be on post game talking about it. And hopefully it turns out the way that a lot of these have with an Alabama win. But, I'm just glad that we've all kind of got to connect here and roll tide. All right, Brett, thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Roll tide to you, and Happy New Year, Mick.
Happy New Year. Talk to you guys tomorrow.